The Iraq Study Group calls its report the way forward, but it's not the only way. President Bush is collecting feedback from a bunch of sources this week. Joining us now, Congressman Jim Marshall, a Democrat from Georgia, a member of the Armed Services Committee, and a Vietnam veteran who received 2 Bronze Stars and a Purple Heart. Congressman Marshall, the reaction from the White House to the Iraq Study Group report has been lukewarm at best. How much of those recommendations, how many of those recommendations would you accept as the way to go?
Well, I've read the report, and I'm sure just about every member of Congress has done the same thing. The report and its recommendations cover an awful lot of ground that's already been covered. There's not an awful lot in the report that's new. The part of the report that troubles me is the reference to January, first quarter 2008. To me, it's kind of like telling a 5th grader they've got to take their GEDs and pass them by the end of next year, or they're going to be left stranded. I think this is a long war. I think we can reduce our presence dramatically and make it more sustainable. And I think the study group may have missed an opportunity to really emphasize that possibility.
Well, what about the argument that the more of our people we keep on the ground there, the less the Iraqis have to do to build a country for themselves?
Yeah, I think it's unrealistic to think that all these different elements in their leaderships somehow, as we threaten to leave, are going to conclude that they're wrong and that it's not the other guy's fault, and somehow they have to come together and somehow secure the country in a way that makes sense from the perspective of all of them. That kind of reconciliation, and it's true, they need national reconciliation in Iraq. That takes time, and it doesn't happen overnight, and I don't think that group, all those individual leaders who are causing trouble, are going to respond well to threats that we're going to leave. Many of them will simply applaud it. So that part of the study also troubles me a little bit. I think it's just unrealistic. I think this is a long war. And as I say, we can reduce our presence substantially, make it sustainable, and I think that's probably in our best interest. I hope the president heads in that direction.
What about getting Iran and Syria involved in trying to, fix things in Iraq? That's one of the recommendations.
Yeah, the report makes reference to Iran and Syria both having an interest in stability in Iraq, but at the same time the report mentions that both of those countries like the chaos that's being caused right now, like the fact that the United States is tied up, particularly Iran. It's good advice. It's stuff that we've been trying all along. If we renew our effort, it makes sense to me. I think it's foolish for us not to be talking to both those countries. We should be talking directly to them. Perhaps there's some room for compromise. I don't think we compromise on the idea of Iran having nuclear weapons. That's non-negotiable. But we can compromise in other ways that perhaps can head us in the right direction where Iran and Syria are concerned.
Georgia Congressman Jim Marshall, thank you.
Happy to be with you, Tony, John.